$300 a month on AI tools, I had no idea if they were actually worth it until I did the math. Here's why this matters. According to 2025 MIT report, 95% of AI investments fail. Firms overestimate benefits by 3 times and underestimate costs by 2 times. So I built a framework to figure out what was actually working. Turns out the right tools were saving me 10 hours a week. That's $2,800 a month in billable time. Today, I'm showing you that exact framework, the same one that took me from wasting nights in Photoshop to getting my life back. Okay, so let's start with the 6-step framework. I'm going to show you the 3 first steps. So the first one is to know what your time costs. And the first thing you need to do is to calculate the annual salary. So whether it's $80,000, $90,000, wherever it is, then you kind of divide that by 2,080 hours, which is like a standard 40-hour a week job. And then you'll get the base rate. And once you get the base rate, then you multiply that by 1.35, which takes into account all the overhead, anything that is taxes, insurance, utilities, space, you name it. And then is when you really get the true value, the true cost per hour, which in this case, if it's $70,000, you get the $45 per hour, which is the true cost. Great. Now that you know the true cost, now we're going to go to step 2, which is to track actual time for 2 weeks. Normally, you can go and grab like a time card for a whole month or the last 3 months or just a week and really get an estimate on where are your time going. I kind of see what's real. So for instance, in my case, I know that I was spending a lot of time in code research, renderings, meetings, specs, meetings with clients. And after that, once you process the data, it really helps you understand to know where your time is going. So for instance, me, in only 3 activities, I noticed that I was spending over $4,480 on just 3 tasks. And that's what gives you value, because from there, you can go to next step, knowing where your time is being spent. Okay, now we can go to step 3, which is to really have conservative estimates only. Whenever you're looking for an AI tool, generally speaking, you're going to have these huge claims of like saving you like 70, 90% of the time. But generally speaking, you really have that more like 20 to 35% of, of that savings after the learning curve. And what I really want to encourage you is that normally, whenever you are in month 1 and 2, it's really about testing the tool, it's about learning the tool. And a lot of times it's about failing, it's about getting results that you don't want or you don't like or you don't find, as if like what they were selling you, it was not real. It's just that it's just about practicing and learning the tool. And then you have month 3 and 4, that is when you start breaking even. Now that people are starting to learn the tool, people are starting to finally start getting more efficient and know how to utilize it better. Then is when you start breaking even on the cost of the tool. Then you get to month 5 and 6, and that's when you start finally getting those real gains, because finally you start kind of seeing real results. You really start kind of seeing the value on it and the savings and the actual additional value you get to your clients. Then after month 6, when you get to month 7 or more, then is when you really start seeing that 35 to 40% compounding savings. And that's mainly because now you have automated, you have created systems. Everybody, if not most of the people, have implemented and know how to use it properly, but it takes time. So don't expect to get that 70, 90% savings and utilize the tool and it work perfectly on the first month. It takes time. Great. So now that you have the steps and knowing what are the next steps to follow, now I'm going to show you the tool. So this is called AI ROI Calculator, and this is a tool that I created here to calculate the real cost of AI tools and what's the ROI on those. And you can click on the description below. So just to kind of give you a quick overview, what we're going to be seeing here is step 1, which is kind of calculate your your true hourly rate. Then we're going to go to step 2, which is kind of the time tracker, as we mentioned before, like really track your time. And then we're going to go to step 3, which is really to kind of get the adoption curve, to really get uh, to really optimize like what's the learning curve of it to learn the tool. And then also we're going to calculate the true cost of ownership, because a lot of people what miss is the soft cost of where actually that tool is costing you once you're kind of learning and training and doing all those things. And then lastly, I'm adding a step 4, which is really just like an action plan and recommendations depending on where you are on the AI adoption once it kind of has calculated the data in there. So now let's gonna go ahead, and I already kind of did a little of that case study. But for this case study in particular, we had a company that has a group of visualizers, and we are trying to implement a rendering tool like Nano Banana Pro. And we are estimating that is generally speaking going to save them about 50%, like once it has been implemented completely, and optimizing for ideation and renderings. So specifically for this, the team of visualization has 5 employees, and the average of that staff salary is $90,000. And we're gonna have our overhead, as we mentioned under step 1, of 1.35, right? And I'll show you these steps here. But once you kind of have that, you will have the true value, right, of $58. So that's the true value on it. Once we have those, and I'll include these ones later here, we calculate the membership fee. So in this case, the tool is costing $30 a month per user. So you see how it's calculating that for 5 employees, and it's doing $150 a month. And normally the average here, I'm saying the implementation hours per staff is 15 to 25. But because this team is already have been playing with the tool, and they're already visualizers, and they can do the work a lot faster, and they're already familiar with the tool, I normally would put 10 hours. Then we're going to go to the weekly track. What matters is really this step here. So this one here is great because here you can unclick these things. What I recommend is that you only activate the tool that you are actually going to be calculating. This is great as an overall. You can also even add tasks. But the truth is, like, for it to kind of be very accurate, you want to only activate the tool that you're calculating. So in this case, because we're trying to implement Nano Banana Pro, we're only implementing the visualization. We're enabling this one. And we estimate that each employee is about like spending 15 hours specifically on rendering. And we know like we can save up to 8 hours on rendering. So that is translated into here, which is 8 hours per employee. So that's about 40 hours a week. But then once you have that, then it goes to step 3, which is calculating the financial impact of the adoption curve, which remember that in the step 3 is when we start calculating that the first month normally is learning, right? And then the first month 3 and 4 is integration. And you can see how it starts optimizing better, right? And then we have a 14.2 months to consider optimizing implementation of hours saved. So what this means is that it will take 14 months for the time savings to equal your total investment. So whenever we go here to the true cost of ownership, that's a lot of the data that is coming from. And here's where a lot of people don't calculate when they're buying a tool or when they were implementing a tool is the soft cost, the hidden cost of the investment. Here, it's funny to see, that the subscription is $30. In the case, these people are not paying for extra training or anything, but the soft cost, right? Like the implementation of the hours is 10 hours, right? And then here you can change this, but for instance, these normally have to be 30 to 40% if you're having like an implementation, a completely new tool to an office, and you have a lot of people that are hesitant. Normally, this is where you will have 30 to 40%. And then normally I would put troubleshooting, which is just meaning in the tool and optimizing the tool and making sure the systems are properly. You normally spend maybe 3 hours a month just optimizing the tool. And this is what gives you the true result of the soft cost, which is $15,000 on the first year. Now, you have to know that after the first years, these numbers will change a lot because then you will probably not have almost any resistance to the factor that everybody's using the tool. And at the same time, the implementation of hours have been already implemented. So at that point, all these numbers will go down significantly to a point where like these will lower down. But it's just the implementation of how much will it cost you the first year. And this is the result, right? So really the total cost of ownership is $17,000 for implementing this tool after everybody has done their training, the setup, through the adoption curve and all that. So then is when you really get an overall estimate that the first month, just to break even on the investment that you've made, is 13.9 months, which is a little bit over a year. And then here you will have at the end, I will have like a step 4, which is like an action plan and recommendations. There's some recommendations of other companies that have done good with AI and examples that they've done here. And they have like a quick blueprint of successful of AI adoptions here that you can read and implement. But the main thing is to really start playing with these numbers and to really start understanding that what's the ROI on these AI tools during the first year. Then once you kind of know that, it's really going to help you to make an informed decision. Here's what you are walking away with. 1, your true hourly cost, the baseline of every productivity decision. 2, a proven framework to calculate ROI, no guessing, just math. 3, a free calculator that does it for you in 10 minutes. Your challenge, pick one tool you are using right now, run it through the calculator before Friday. For me, the real ROI isn't just the $2,800 per month in billable time, it's evenings with my family instead of working until 11 p.m. It's capacity to grow my business, it's enjoying my work again. The tools need practice, but once you learn them, they multiply your capacity. You want more practical AI systems? No Hub just works. Just subscribe to the channel and now go do your math.